So this is my second Claire North book, and I had high expectations after enjoying the first one. And like the first book, The End of the Day, the first 15 lives of Harry August wears its science fiction clothing very lightly. In essence, it's a time travel story, but it's unlike any other that I've read. The clue's in the title. The premise of this tale is that some people, a very small percentage, relive their lives over and over again, and so they're effectively reincarnated as themselves. Not only that, but in subsequent lives they remember what happened in their preceding lives, sometimes with perfect recall. As a result, some of these so-called Kalachakra have lived hundreds or even thousands of subjective years, accumulating knowledge, skills and wisdom along the way. So Claire North takes this idea, sort of Groundhog Day on acid idea, and runs with it, painting what I found to be a highly engaging story with some thought-provoking ideas that I'm still ruminating about several days later. If non-linear plotting is your bag, then this book is definitely for you. Using Harry's multiple lives as the raw material, North flits lightly from one to the next, back and forth. And I really like the way she'd pick a thread from, say, his fourth life in one chapter that would later be important in a subsequent chapter and life later in the book, but not before diving back to his first life, say, for an anecdote from his childhood. It has the potential to be a massively confusing jumble, but I didn't find it difficult to follow. In fact, I really enjoyed that structure. At its heart, I think the first 15 lives of Harry August is a story about friendships. Friendship in the face of great provocation, a calamitous future, and gravely differing views about using the accumulated knowledge to influence events. I really enjoyed the ebb and flow of the main relationship between Harry and Vincent, a fellow Kalachakra. In one life they are a professor and student, Vincent's a bit younger, and in another Harry is Vincent's research assistant, and in another he's Vincent's admin guy, helping him to run his business empire. The plot demands that this friendship is ambiguous, to say the least. Is Vincent repeatedly friends with Harry to keep him close and under his influence, or because he genuinely likes his company? Is Harry a willing participant because he in turn needs to unravel Vincent's master plan, or because he loves Vincent like a brother? And I think it's probably all of the above. I really like the idea of communication, the news, intelligence flowing backwards and forwards in time. There's an example in the first pages of the book. As Harry nears the end of his 11th life, a little girl appears at his bedside. "I nearly missed you, Dr. August," she says. "I need to send a message." And she proceeds to tell him about the end of the world. This message turns out to be very important and is really the hook on which the plot is hung. She tells him that in the future history is happening faster than it used to, and it doesn't end well, it seems. Harry and some of his fellow travellers must determine why and try to prevent it. The Kalachakra maintain lines of communication across the generations and lives in a similar way. The young passing messages to the old, and soon to die, to get a message back in time, and vice versa, to get a message forward in time. And this is as close as the novel gets to time travel, really. Similar in that respect to Time Escape by Gregory Benford, only the protocols they follow are necessarily low-tech. Messages are passed hand to hand, there's no tachyons involved. I enjoyed thinking through how this process would work in practice, often getting in a mental tangle as I tried. I also really like the sense of jeopardy that Claire North introduces here. There are two terrible fates that might befall a Kalachakra. The first is that it can be subjected to a forgetting with a capital F, in which their accumulated memories are wiped, leaving them to start again in the next life. The second is that they can be snuffed out of existence entirely, a permanent non-being, if someone can cause them to be killed in utero or during their mother's pregnancy, so that they're never born. For this reason, we find out early on that a Kalachakra's point of origin, their true birth date and location, are closely guarded secrets. Harry flirts with these dangers on more than one occasion, and plus there are other travails related to his accumulated foreknowledge. You can imagine certain government agencies becoming very interested in someone who knows who wins elections or which wars are won by whom or whatever. And Harry has just such an encounter, and it's somewhat traumatic to say the least. Another aspect of the novel that I enjoyed was the so-called Cronus Club, which is a sort of support group for Harry and his other time travellers. With a club in most major cities, older members, for example, would retrieve recently reincarnated children from their unfortunate upbringings, so that they didn't have to relive being bullied at school or whatever. The club is where the Kalachakra retain collective knowledge, where wealth accumulation tips are shared, the result of a certain sporting competition, or the performance of a certain stock in the financial market, all of which can be used judiciously to live comfortably in subsequent lives. They can't take their money with them, obviously, they're going back to where they were born, but if they know what's happening, they can invest wisely and live comfortably and not work if they don't want to. Among the things that's still turning over in my head is what happens to the life or the world that Harry inhabits when he dies. Does it just kind of disappear poof, in a puff of smoke, or does it persist on into the future, effectively spawning another pocket universe? Or is that universe spawned when he's reborn again? And the same with the other people that existed in the same kind of timeline as him. That really is still making my head work overtime. One of the things that really stands out for me is Claire North's writing, which I think is superb. It might have been enough to play with the time loop concept and tell Harry's story, and an average writer could have made a good book out of it. But I think that Claire North really just knocks it out of the proverbial park. Certainly I was fully engaged throughout, trying and usually failing to anticipate the next move. The characters in this novel are exceptionally well developed, I think, with Harry August standing out as a deeply complex and relatable protagonist. His intellectual curiosity and his struggle to comprehend the vastness of his existence form the emotional core of the story. We may only get glimpses into some of Harry's lives, but they're richly painted, and the main plot thread of Harry's sleuthing to find the sources of future disruption is excellent and gripping. Harry's interactions with other Kalachakra, most notably Vincent, add depth and offer thought-provoking insights into the human condition and to the nature of friendship. There are so many more aspects of this book that I really enjoyed, but rather than drop even more clues here, I should let you read it and find out for yourself. I can't think of anything that I disliked about this book, which I think means it deserves a 10 out of 10. That's quite unusual, a 10 out of 10. Let me know if you've read this book and what you thought about it. I am late to the party. It's been out for almost 10 years, but I'm really pleased to have read it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But that's it for now. And until the next time, bye for now.